It happens quietly, a whisper of metal, not a bang. The hatch on a cell door begins to slide open on its own. The motor should only move when commanded by the control system, but tonight it hums without input, stopping halfway. The corridor team freezes. They check their consoles. No command registered, no electrical error logged. The gap is small, half an inch at most, but in a place where millimeters define safety. Half an inch feels like a wound. The inmate doesn't move. He sits perfectly still, eyes on the blue TV glow. The officer leans in, listening for the faintest sound. For a moment, everyone feels the building hold its breath. Then, the supervisor's voice breaks the silence. Hold position. Do not reach through. The team obeys. Machines can fail, but procedure cannot. They wait until maintenance arrives, log the fault, and reset the hatch. It's a small event, a minor glitch, but in a Supermax, small things have long shadows. The paper sits on the floor, pale and ordinary, but in this world, ordinary is suspicious. The lead officer lowers the tongs, metal against concrete, and lifts the square delicately. It weighs almost nothing. Under light, it shows no markings. Still, it's sealed in a transparent bag, tagged, logged, and carried to evidence. Behind the shield, the team retreats in formation, their boots silent on the polished floor. Every step feels heavier than it should. The hatch is resealed, the inmate motionless behind the mesh. In the control room, data streams confirm that no sensors were tripped, no lines pulled, no signal detected. Yet unease lingers, because unease is the invisible electricity that keeps ADX alive. Later, that small paper square will sit under a forensic lamp, and maybe it will prove to be nothing, but everyone who touched it will remember the weight of something that felt too light. Outside, the wind screams across the fence line, scattering snow like dust. The second alarm flashes red. Perimeter east active. The supervisor turns toward the new screen. A thermal camera shows a shape sliding along the outer fence, low and steady. Too small for a man, too heavy for debris. Patrol vehicles move into position, headlights slicing through fog. Inside, the range team halts their work, frozen in mid-movement. The prison is a single nervous system, every sensor a nerve ending. When one blinks, all the others tense. The officer with the tongs holds still, paper in grip. The supervisor's voice echoes through the comms. Stand by for confirmation. Do not proceed. The snow thickens. Patrols circle the fence and find the culprit. A strip of torn black tarp flapping in the wind. Pressing the pad whenever the gusts rise. False alarm. The supervisor exhales, but no one laughs. In this place, relief is only another kind of vigilance. The report later calls it environmental interference. But those words don't capture the heartbeat that races in every officer's chest. The fence alarm resets. Patrols clear the zone, log the debris, move on. The snow keeps falling, muffling the world in sterile quiet. Inside the control room, the supervisor watches the screen settle into order again. The blue lights return to green. Range 13 secure, he says into the radio. But calm doesn't erase memory. The officers at the monitors remember the sound of that hatch sliding without command. They remember the half-inch gap that refused to close. They remember how easily coincidence can look like coordination. In the corridors, the air grows colder, as if the building itself has learned to listen harder. The shift log ends with 2 words typed in gray. Cause unknown. It's the kind of phrase that keeps a warden awake. The corridor team walks back through the tunnel. Shield first, camera second, restraints last. Procedure is choreography here, a slow dance designed to outlast panic. Their breath fogs in the cold air. No one speaks until they reach the second gate. Only then does the leader say, "Log the hatch for service." They file the report, clean their gloves, and move on to the next round as if nothing happened. But the image of that small white square lingers in everyone's mind. They all wonder who folded it and why. In the control room, the supervisor signs off on the incident file, marking it as resolved. But before closing it, he adds a note in small print. Observe subject closely during next cycle. It's a sentence that costs nothing and means everything. In ADX Florence, watchfulness is faith. You don't pray here, you monitor. In the tunnel that links the cell blocks to the main lobby, the night air clings to concrete. The lead officer walks alone, his reflection caught in a wall of polished steel. He sees tired eyes, a steady face, and the faint tremor that comes from carrying responsibility too long. He's been here years, through riots elsewhere, through the lawsuit that changed the counseling wing, through nights colder than this. He knows what the job demands: calm, clarity, control. He passes a checkpoint, salutes the camera, and logs his final note: possible pass negative. Then he pauses, glances at the ceiling vent, and thinks about how sound moves through air. If you listen hard enough, even silence has patterns. He walks on, unaware that somewhere deep in the ventilation system above, a faint rattling has begun, a sound no one has logged yet because no one can hear it. Far from the noise of the cell blocks, a different kind of silence lives in the counseling wing. The light is warmer here, muted gold instead of white-blue. The doors are thicker, yes, but the air feels human. On one side of the glass, a counselor finishes her notes from the day. Patient number, progress mark, incident follow-up. Each page is recorded twice, one for the inmate's file and one for the bureau. It's paperwork that saves lives. When the siren sounds faintly in the distance, she doesn't flinch. Alarms come and go, but she knows something others forget, that in ADX, calm is fragile. The men she speaks with every day live on the knife edge between control and collapse. After the lawsuit in 2012, this wing became the heartbeat of change. More staff, more care, more eyes watching minds instead of walls. She closes her notebook, locks in the drawer, and checks the corridor mirror before leaving. The reflection shows only herself. And for a moment, the faint red glow of emergency lights from far down the hall. Then nothing. Morning at ADX does not begin with sunlight. It begins with schedule. Lights turn on by program, not dawn. Doors remain sealed until every check is logged. Officers move in pairs, scanning badges at each checkpoint, calling out cell numbers like prayer verses. Delta 203 clear. Echo 411 clear. Inside each cell, the same motions repeat. Inmate rises, faces the camera, stands still for verification. Breakfast trays slide through slots like mechanical gestures of routine mercy. Every move is timed, recorded, filed. The sound of keys is rare here. Most doors obey computers, not hands. But the sound still comforts. It reminds people that someone, somewhere, is still human in the loop. A quiet day in ADX is not peace. It is precision working as designed. One officer jokes softly, "If routine could breathe, this place would exhale concrete." His partner doesn't answer. Humor doesn't travel well through these walls. Inside one of those cells, an inmate sits cross-legged on the floor, staring at the narrow window slit that gives him the only slice of the outside world. The light shifts across the wall, gray at first, then blue, then gray again. He doesn't speak. He doesn't move. There's peace in this kind of stillness. At least, that's what the counselors say. But inside the mind, stillness is just another kind of motion. Thoughts loop endlessly. Who's watching, what they see, whether the world outside still remembers your name. He studies the way dust floats in the air, the rhythm of the ventilation hum. Even those become conversations of a sort. In a place designed to erase your reflection, you start to build one out of what's left. Light, breath, time. Somewhere beyond the wall, the officers log another hour of calm. They don't know that in this silence, something small and unseen has started to move inside the vent. The calm doesn't last. At 13:07 hours, a knock echoes from Delta Block. Sharp, fast, wrong. The officers glance at the monitors. One camera shows motion, then static. An alarm light blinks amber. The supervisor lifts his radio. Delta confirms sound source. Possible object strike on 223. Comes a reply. The words land heavy. Every officer knows what that might mean. A weapon, self-harm, or something worse. The team moves in formation, shields raised, restraints ready. The control room kills corridor access and watches through thermal overlays. In the cell, a man kneels by his bed, hands trembling. On the floor beside him, a bent metal tray corner, sharp enough to scratch concrete. The counselor arrives just as the door opens. No words, no shouting, only measured steps. She speaks his name once, softly. The man looks up and stops shaking. Later, the report will read, object recovered, inmate stable, follow-up scheduled. But the people who were there will remember the quiet before the door opened, the kind of quiet that could have broken differently. The phrase sounds violent, but it's really a ritual control. 3 officers, 1 shield, 1 medic, 1 counselor nearby. Every movement scripted. The leader steps forward, voice firm, never raised. Hands open, step back. The inmate obeys. The door opens a hand's width, no more, no less. A shield slides in like a wall of glass. Hands on knees. The leader says, the man kneels. The medic takes the object, whatever it was this time, and bags it for evidence. No shouting, no anger. From the outside, it might look mechanical. Inside, it's theater with a purpose. The rules aren't just about keeping people alive. They're about reminding everyone that even chaos has choreography. When it's over, the counselor leans in, says something too soft for the camera to catch. The man nods once. The door closes. Later, the same counselor will walk back to the corridor, her notebook pressed to her chest like a heartbeat, whispering to herself the same truth that every veteran here knows. If you treat the rules like a cage, they break you. If you treat them like a map, they save you. That night, the counselor sits in her office under the same cold lights that never really go out. She fills out her daily log. Delta 223, intervention successful. Subject calm. No lasting agitation. She pauses before typing the next sentence. Her fingers hover, thinking of the man's face, of the way he looked past her instead of at her. She writes slowly. Unclear, stable, potential delayed stress reaction. Then she adds a note to call for a morning check. On the wall above her desk hangs a framed photo of the Colorado mountains, the only horizon she gets to look at anymore. Some staff say the job changes how you see freedom. You start to value schedules and walls, not open space. Because open space feels dangerous. It's what the outside world has. She shuts off her light, leaves her office, and walks past a camera that records everything. Behind her, the door closes with the same mechanical sigh that ends every conversation here. At 3:14 hours, a small orange light flickers on camera 3 in corridor C. The supervisor leans forward. Maintenance corridor, anyone scheduled there? He asks. Negative, replies the clerk. The camera zooms in. The glow isn't flame, too focused. It pulses near a vent junction, just above a sealed junction box. Then a noise follows, a metallic rattle, short and fast, like gears slipping. The supervisor calls in, engineer team to corridor C, possible electrical fault. Minutes later, the same maintenance tech from the hatch repair arrives. He sniffs the air, ozone and dust. The glow blinks out, then returns, twice as bright. He reaches for his radio, says, possible overheating conduit, and then freezes. The vent grill trembles. Something inside it moves. The glow bursts white, then vanishes. Every monitor in the control room flashes red. The siren blares again, louder this time. On screen, smoke begins to crawl from a vent, and the prison, built to prevent the impossible, realizes it's already too late to stop it.